Buckle up, boys. Don't look dull.
This might get hairy.
Attention! This is your captain speaking. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is we'll be landing immediately. The bad news is we're crash landing. Take up the air travel. We know you have no choice but thanks again for choosing campaign.
While I think it's funny that these penguins are beating up the DreamWorks Fisher Kid and stealing his fishing pole, I also have to ask, why go through all this trouble to fly to the moon, to beat up some kid and steal his fish? How'd you even know he'd be here? Why are there fish in the clouds? Why is the moon shaped like that when it's really just an optical illusion created by the sun's light?
You see this, Mark? You and me are the same.
It's an extremely specific and nearly impossible African continent mark that will make it easy to identify you later when it should be downright impossible.
No, the real sin is that this is a retcon, as Alex clearly did not have that birthmark in the first movie. They could have hid it in his mane or on his bottom paw or something more clever to explain why we didn't see it before now.
So the poachers would have had to get here, feed a rope underneath this barbed wire fence, drag it all the way to this clearing, then run back behind the fence and wiggle this rope so that a lion cub would be enticed by it. I'm not believing for 1 second this is how poachers operate, but even if they do, this rope was nowhere to be found earlier, and there's no way they threw the rope that far and managed to somehow get it under the fence before they started dragging it.
Wait, what? You first theorized that the poachers would have had to drag the rope from under the fence to this area so they can capture Alec, and then without warning, you just assumed that they actually threw it while not crossing the fence at all? Which is it?
In the first 4 minutes of this movie, we've seen a father lion try to teach his son about being the king, the jealous lion who wants to run the pride, and now a child lion who seemingly sees his father sacrifice his life for him. I'm just saying it's already clear that 2019's Lion King literally copycatted this entire movie's plot.
I'll admit it was hilarious how he subverted expectations by suggesting the 2019 Lion King ripped this film off, while leading us to think you were going to say this movie is ripping off the good Lion King movie. However, the point you're trying to make is that this is a Lion King ripoff, which it absolutely isn't. It does have similar story beats, sure, but not only does Zuba not die, Alex doesn't even become the king like Simba did. Like, you did sin that movie, didn't you?
Thinking that this box was made this watertight to float this far and to be this dry on the inside.
I see we're continuing the whole criticizing cartoon logic thing from the first movie. You know, not all movies are trying to be realistic, so you sitting something for being unrealistic when the filmmakers weren't trying to do that is stupid. And I get you guys are supposed to be a comedy channel, but this isn't funny.
And here's an extra 50 cents for extending that nonsense for the entire 10,000-mile trip to New York City.
Padding the sin count cliche.
Do we really need the Twin Towers in this shot? This movie was released in 2008, and you have to know if you make that decision, you're forcing your audience to think of 9/11 the second they see them. And all I'm saying is, I'm not sure I understand the need to show an era-accurate New York City skyline in a movie that will also pretend this fish somehow jumped through this hole.
I hope this doesn't come off like I'm dismissing all the trauma, but this is a flashback, so why not show them? And you could also look at this as a tribute. However, I'm not willing to fully commit to these ideas, so I won't add a sin and instead just move on.
This is not what hippo nostrils look like.
But didn't you say in the last movie that this is a stylistic choice and you're okay with that? I mean, you contradicted it there too, but then that makes me wonder why you said that in the first place. Were you perhaps lying?
Sure, we know Alex is a friendly lion, but isn't it kind of insane they allowed people this close to watch a grown lion perform?
Well, you earlier padded the sin count by pointing out the newspaper from earlier where it was said Alex was found in 1972.
There are so many things wrong about this newspaper. First, the date is April 8, 1972, but the article underneath refers to things that happened in 1980 and beyond.
And since this particular scene takes place right before the first movie, which is either in the 90s or 2000s, then Alex has been on this pedestal for decades and hasn't hurt anyone, so why would anyone worry?
I don't know about you, but I want to go to Connecticut.
But in the first movie, Marty didn't even know what Connecticut was, and it was Melman, the giraffe, that suggested going there using the Metro North trains. And they tried to make that trip that very night.
Would you look at that? An actual CinemaSin. Nice going, guys.
On the loose, several animals.
This news position has the added benefit of telling us all the things we already saw in the first movie, meaning it operates as both a previously on Madagascar and cinematically typical expositional journalism. And as such, this news previous position gets 5 cents.
Even more sin count padding. But this scene doesn't just do that. It also reestablishes Nana, who is arguably the main antagonist of this film, and I wouldn't be surprised if people forgot about her, since she only had a single scene in the first movie. And it also mentions that since the ship that was carrying Alex went missing, everyone in New York misses them, setting up the moment when some of them go to Africa, happen to run into him, and then recognize him when he starts dancing.
Asses are so funny. Animal asses. How did they come up with this stuff?
Okay, I was gonna let the laugh slide, but then he did it again.
These animals are now taking turns talk singing about enjoying the act of moving it while breaking the fourth wall, and I've never been so done with a movie so fast in my life.
Says they're breaking the fourth wall, even though there are lots of lemurs watching. Also, what is so bad about this scene that makes you done with the movie? This video is 23 minutes long, and you didn't even use that time to explain yourself.
Oh no! Smart! He's so annoying!
I'd have so much more respect for this movie if it used this introduction for every single character and just swapped out the name each time.
So are you saying every single character in this movie is annoying? Well, that's quite the take. Like, this film still made a lot of money and got decent reviews, so I think you're alone in that.
Aren't these supposed to be attached to my seat?
At the end of the last movie, they were about to go back to New York on a boat, but then the Penguin said something about the boat not having any gas, so I guess they decided to go with the airplane idea between films. But it seems like Alex and crew didn't ask any questions before they launched this broken down plane using a slingshot. You know, for maximum comedy.
Yes, exactly. As I told you last time, sometimes certain things are done just for comedy's sake, and that's perfectly fine. Not everything in a comedy has to make sense. As long as it makes people laugh, then the filmmakers did their job correctly. I really don't think anyone went into this Madagascar sequel expecting consistency. They just came to be entertained.
This plane is going to go from hurtling ass over tea kettles straight into plane falls below the horizon and then dramatically appears again cliche, and from the bottom of my heart, movie, you.
Wait, you have a heart?
Like when you bit me on the butt?
I guess there are some jokes Chris Rock tells that Jada Pinkett Smith does laugh at.
Oh, a joke about the Will Smith slap? Didn't you say in your Deadpool and Wolverine video that when that movie made a reference to that, it'd be outdated?
Get my country's name out of your f***ing mouth.
I have an odd feeling this joke won't slap quite as hard as time passes.
I guess this 2022 video is too, by your logic.
Now, are the butts next to the croutons at the salad bar?
Not sure. Probably depends on how you toss the salad.
Gross.
Yeah, dating.
Are the other guys?
What do you mean, other guys?
What is holding up that beverage service?
Franchise continues to insinuate that a giraffe would want to f*** a hippo without drawing us a diagram.
Continues? Dude, this is the first time this romance between them is even being brought up. It was never set up in the first movie. That's the real sin, and you missed it.
Movie steals the watching airplane disaster footage on an airplane bit from the movie Airplane.
Arbitrary airplane reference.
This person's hat stayed on through whatever crash killed them.
Or maybe the lemurs put it on because they thought it completes the look.
We've lost engine 1. And engine 2 is no longer on fire.
But the fact that this engine is entirely constructed from bamboo was never a problem in the first place.
But isn't it a problem right now? And if you're saying that the plane shouldn't have been flying because of this, I bring up the fact that it's a cartoon and it's supposed to be funny.
I love you, Gloria. I always have.
Man, this movie is straight up stealing from Almost Famous now.
Arbitrary Almost Famous reference.
Only 2 passengers unaccounted for, Skipper.
That's a number I can live with. Good landing, boys.
This seems like as good a time as any to sin this movie for eventually giving us the Penguins of Madagascar movie. Not all goofy sidekicks need their own story. You don't see Pixar out there pulling this nonsense. Can you imagine a Cars movie focused on Mater? Okay, bad example. A Nemo movie focused on Dory? Well,
I appreciate the Cars 2 slander, but Finding Dory was good. Sure, it's not as good as Finding Nemo, but that ending where Dory finds her parents alone is a 10 out of 10 scene. Also, Penguins of Madagascar is the best Madagascar movie, so saying this offends me greatly, and I will be giving you a few extra.
Behold the lion.
Hey, it's people!
Okay, there's much to see. Moving on.
right, because it's just a lion hanging out with a giraffe, a hippo, and a zebra. 3 of which are walking on 2 legs instead of 4, and the zebra appears to be holding a nice beverage, but yeah, nothing to see here.
Do you mean standing on 2 legs instead of 4? Because Marty walks on all 4s, but stands on 2 occasionally. Also, judging by the lions and hippos we see later, it seems like it's normal for them to be standing on 2 legs in this universe, so why would that be noteworthy to these tourists?
I know you.
Sequel thinks this old lady that beat up Alex in the first movie was so funny that they needed to bring her back at this very moment in this exact location in Africa. Nobody was wondering what...
Jeremy goes on a long rant that I don't care about, so I'm just gonna say, Sinning Nana. This is a comedic franchise that never really takes itself too seriously, so bringing back a joke character and giving her an expanded role is such an inspired decision. It would have been too much if they brought her back in the next movie.
It's like Roots.
This 2008 kids movie just made a joke about an 8-episode television miniseries from 1977 about the brutal history of racism through the Civil War.
So, the movie made an arbitrary TV show reference? Kind of like what you do?
Okay, well, is there maybe like a manager we could talk to?
Lion Karens.
Well, that was the most predictable joke ever.
It's a bit of a dump. Are you sure we're not in New Jersey?
Jesus Christ, this movie steals from everything. Now it's stealing from every stand-up comedian who has ever done a set in New York City for material.
Why can't this be an homage? Why does it always have to be straight up theft?
We go over to the dying holes, and we die.
I googled, do giraffes have dying holes? And Google responded with, so, you're watching Madagascar, Escape to Africa, huh? How are you feeling about your life choices today?
I guess we still need to drill into your head that this film is fantasy. As in, not our reality. As in, you need to stop asking for movies to be realistic even when they're not trying to be.
This is not what hippo belly buttons look like.
But remember, it's an artistic design. You said so yourself in the first movie, and Melman's neck was apparently what broke that for you.
Some of the other lions were wondering when you were going to banish your son.
Zuba has known Makunga for years and should realize that he's being a dick, but uncritically believes that the other lions are talking this way without even verifying it.
But Makunga does bring up a good point, that they have a ceremony about earning their manes, and Alex didn't go through it, therefore, by their own rules, Alex should be banished. While I don't doubt that Zuba is suspicious of Mukunga's intentions, this is still something that Zuba has to worry about ASAP.
We will hold the rite of passage first thing in the morning.
This sets up Alex's obvious future failure because Zuba doesn't know what Alex's life has been like all these years. Still, it's kind of amazing that since Alex's parents reunited with their lost son, they haven't played any kind of catch-up.
That is just a straight-up lie. There's an earlier scene where Zuba announced to the other lions that Alex is the king of New York, and he wouldn't have known that if Alex didn't tell him. So they did play some catch-up. It was just off-screen.
Operation Tourist Trap is a go.
These penguins are the Scrat of the Madagascar universe. I'm starting to wonder if animated films in the 2000s just couldn't come up with feature-length stories, so they added short films in the middle to get to 90 minutes.
So you're saying that the penguins are like Scrap because they are completely pointless to the story and are only in the movie for comic relief? That's just wrong. Without the Penguins, the entirety of this franchise wouldn't have happened. Remember, it was the Penguins who gave Marty the idea to leave the zoo and go to the wild, which kick-started this whole story. Then the Penguins hijacked the boat, which caused our heroes to fall off and wash up on Madagascar. Then they rebuilt the plane so they could get home, and then crashed in Africa, where they are now trying to rebuild the plane once again, leading to the events of the next movie. Scrap, meanwhile, only had occasional moments where he would impact the plot, but definitely nowhere near as much as the Penguins in this franchise.
It's kind of unbelievable that this tour guide completely misses this penguin running out into the road, but as you can see, he's very busy pointing out absolutely nothing to his left and not watching where he's going.
Well, they are New Yorkers.
Is she dead?
No.
I'm not even going to play Jeremy's dialogue here. Sinning may be the funniest scene in the whole franchise. That's worth a few extra.
I'm not gonna stay out in the open and get attacked by more animals.
So, going out into the f***ing wilderness alone is the best option?
I'm sure she figured you guys would follow her.
You did that the day we lost you.
And somehow it's still there! Yep, that random little paw print weathered every windstorm and is still there decades later with your entire sleeping area that we left completely intact as a testament to our loss and devastation from your disappearance.
You seriously think that these very loving parents wouldn't do all of that? I mean, didn't you see the opening flashback where Alex is captured and Zuba did everything in his power to save him? And they thought he freaking died, so of course they'd have this up as a memorial to him. Also, I get the feeling Jeremy's wrong about the rock painting, but who could I ask to be sure? Oh, I know! Maybe someone whose profile picture is a rock painting.
Yo, Captain, what's up?
Hey, Granny Tamias. Jeremy thinks this rock painting of Alex's paw print should have weathered away after years of being exposed to the elements. Should it have?
If African rock art could disappear as fast as Jeremy claims, then features like the Nyero rock paintings in Uganda should not still exist. Why am I not surprised Jeremy didn't do the research to know if this was a thing in reality?
Ah, I see. Oh, by the way, I'm excited for your Revenge of the Fallen video. Thanks for the help.
Oh, wait, keep me on the line. There's something I have to say for a later sin.
We thought they'd killed you.
But my son fought those hunters off, huh?
I guess I get the delusion, but what a f***ing delusion this is. This is a kid that was dancing and playing with butterflies and never learned a damn thing about fighting, but his dad thinks that he suddenly became a great fighter while he was still a baby to fend off the hunters?
I mean, what other option is there? Zuba distrusts the humans, so the idea that they would actually take care of Alex is completely out of the realm of possibility to him. Him fighting off those hunters is the only thing that makes sense to him. And I'm sure he'd want to believe that Alex finally got over his dancing and decided to unleash his true lying instincts.
You were born with it.
Seems like they might tell Alex what he's in for tomorrow. I mean, he's been in New York this whole time and has no idea what rite of passage is. I feel like this is one of those movies where certain problems could be resolved in 5 minutes if anyone talked with each other long enough, but there are a million assumptions going on, so the movie can happen.
Do you really think if Alex explained that he dances to Zuba, that he'd be okay with that? Like, he literally does explain later, and Zuba was unhappy with him. The only reason he even changed his mind was when he saw Alex dancing in front of all those New Yorkers, and they cheered him on. This conflict would not have been resolved in 5 minutes.
Also, this weird where somehow the chief lions of the Pride are voiced by black actors, but the chief protagonist is voiced by a non-black actor is super weird. Like, do we think James Earl Jones and Madge Sinclair produce a Jonathan Taylor Thomas Matthew Broderick combo? This movie has Bernie Mac and Sherry Shepard producing Ben Stiller. They're just voices, but that's super weird.
Then I guess it's weird that Ruby Gillman is voiced by an actress who is Asian, even though the actors voicing Ruby's parents were a white woman and a black man. Yet you didn't question that. Also, man, it's unfortunate that Bernie Mac passed away not long before this film came out. Damn real life for taking him from us so soon.
Good night, Alec.
Hardy har, the light switch was a firefly, but you can't just make these throwaway jokes without thinking of the ramifications.
Skip! They took the Jeep, everything!
That happened to our Jeep, too.
Yeah, but this other group of dicks didn't have a strong-willed granny telling them to go out into the f***ing African wilderness, so what was their motivation to come out here?
Maybe they just wanted to find a young tourist and hitch a ride?
Shark is this desperate for food that he'd risk breaching himself for this f***er.
I mean, how often does a shark get to eat a Goodman's mouse lemur? Yes, that's really what Mort's species is called. I looked it up. They probably just wanted something different instead of fish all the time.
Oh, you mean like this is like a dance battle sort of thing? Like a dance-off?
Seriously, absolutely amazing Alex hasn't asked one question about this and his parents haven't tried to tell him. I'm gonna add 10 cents here because this lack of communication is the most sinful part of this movie.
You told us you were a king, and a king does not get beat.
Who thought that our incuriosity would backfire so badly?
Dude, you already padded the sin count by saying there should have been better communication. Don't pad it any more than you already have.
I don't know, maybe a little fatherly advice. Like, hey son, it's a fight!
The movie is way too late for anybody to be fantastic at CinemaSins.
I just told you to stop padding the sin count for the miscommunication thing. Can you just move on now?
You've got a brown spot there on your shoulder.
The giraffes will now convince Melman that this spot could be deadly, but the movie is in no way interested in showing us the brown spot he allegedly has during the entire scene. Because as we find out, he's just talking about one of the many brown spots that show up on all giraffes, and that's hilarious, I guess.
Exactly. The joke is that they think one of the many brown spots he already has is a sign of death. While I'll admit it's not very funny, I'm more so annoyed that you spent the first half of the sin asking why they didn't show that brown spot, only to then explain why they didn't. This is why I hate going through your more recent videos, because you keep on yapping on, which pads the runtime, and it's super annoying. This is why your older videos were seen as better, because you didn't waste any time and got out of there in only about 5 minutes.
My dad thinks I'm a total loser.
So wait, is this the first time he's telling Marty and Melman this? How did they even know to meet here?
That's not Marty.
You thought that guy was me?
Okay, so now what the is going on? Some random zebra decided to hang out with Alex and Melman while they discussed their problems? If they called this meeting beforehand, how did they find one zebra by himself and tell him they were going to hang out on the airplane? Everything about this meeting is contrived bullshit to raise whatever stakes this movie thinks it has.
Yeah, I don't care about anything you just said. Why are you showing the scene that proves my point earlier that wasn't Marty in the plane? Like, when this scene played, why didn't you go back and revise your script so you don't look stupid?
I would invade a neighboring country and impose my own ideology, even if they didn't want it.
We got colonization jokes, y'all.
Still better than the cringe sexual jokes you make every 5 seconds.
Gloria!
Hippoblocamus.
You gotta love that he immediately proves my point soon after.
Her favorites are orchids. White.
Melman's about to run down a long list of things he knows Gloria likes, as if that makes him way more suitable for her than this guy, who's only known her for like 2 days tops. And sure, Moto does only seem interested in sex and isn't much for conversation, but I don't know what Gloria was expecting after such a short time.
I'm pretty sure she was expecting a little more conversation to fully explain why Moto was attracted to her, and was let down when the only thing he could say was her looks. If Moto couldn't say anything more serious, like he likes her personality or something, then maybe Gloria would be willing to give him a chance.
Also, I hate to break this to you, but knowing everything about a woman you're interested in isn't super likely to make her want to be with you, unless she was already interested. And there has been nothing to suggest Gloria has been pining for giraffe ass this whole time.
You're right, Gloria hasn't been interested in Melman up to this point, but you're trying to say that she immediately falls in love with him at this moment, which she doesn't. She simply starts to wonder if Melman actually had feelings for her, which makes her reconsider if she wants to be with Motomoto. Then when Melman volunteers to sacrifice himself to the false gods, he confesses to her that she kept him going all that time while they were in a zoo, and that's when Gloria fully falls for him.
And I'd spend every day trying to think of how to make her laugh.
I'd be good if this movie would just spend 1 second thinking of how to make us laugh. But maybe I expect too much.
This is why these videos should have been retitled, "Here's my opinion on this movie," instead of "Everything Wrong With." The latter implies that the sins are objective, but these kinds of sins sound more like subjective opinions. Just because a movie didn't make you laugh doesn't mean it didn't work for others.
So could you please turn around so I can tell you that to your face?
Alex identifies a zebra that is turned around, which obviously makes him Marty, and this is seen as Alex legitimately being able to distinguish Marty from all the other zebras. In other words, this works.
No, the movie later shows that Alex recognizes him because he still has the bite marks on his butt that he received in the last movie. Granted, I think that's dumb. Alex couldn't have just recognized Marty because they're best friends and he knows him. But still, Jeremy got this wrong, which is what I'm sending him for.
I, your beloved King Julian, must simply make a small sacrifice to my good friends, the water gods.
All the animals go for this, but didn't they send Makunga to talk to Zuba and see what he would...
Hold up, stop right there. Zubu? His name is Zuba. You couldn't have done another take?
Your son, Alake, he said he could fix it. He's gone upriver.
I get that Makunga would like to get rid of Zuba, but how does sending Zuba away do anything for him when he gets back and he doesn't have any solutions for the dried up waterhole? Why didn't he get Zuba's advice first before telling him about Alex?
Did you seriously just suggest that Makunga, of all people, would ask for advice? And remember, Alex went over the fence line where there could potentially be hunters out there. Aldo Zebra specifically warned Alex and Marty not to cross the line lest they be killed. This shows that all the animals in this place are afraid of being killed if they cross, so Makunga has every reason to assume that Alex and Zuba will die if they cross.
Alake, he said he could fix it.
Why would anyone listen to this asshole at this point? He's done nothing but lie before and after becoming their leader. You really think people would continue to blindly follow a liar and listen to any... Shit, happen again. I swear to the eagle on the presidential seal, I had no clue this was turning into a political sin until it was too late. Apologies.
I don't really care. You made that joke before I did, which was honestly based.
Somehow the tourists built this dam by chopping down trees with axes they definitely had with them before the tour jeeps got stolen.
Even if we ignore that this is a cartoon, it is entirely possible to cut down trees without metal tools. There are literally YouTube videos that explain how.
Did you really mean all those things you said about me?
Skip.
Oh, you heartless bastard.
You can't eat a lion.
Eh, don't worry, it tastes like chicken.
It's 2008, and we're still making taste like chicken jokes.
Says the guy who's still making college girlfriend jokes in the year of our Lord 2026.
Hey, I know those moves.
Movies once again prove that there isn't a problem that dance can't solve.
At least it makes sense in this case. They recognize that this lion they were about to eat is Alex, who they even made a whole memorial to when he disappeared from the zoo.
How does he do that?
Oh, sure, New York Apple asshole t-shirt guy can say it, but when I say it, the comments are all like, "You're ruining movies," or "It's just a cartoon," or "Live girls, 18 plus here, luckydating.org.
So, we are getting to him.
Wait, didn't I say that in the comments?
Deus Ex Barrel of Monkiness?
This is even worse than when you said this in the Toy Story 4 video. The movie literally showed Marty asking for help from these guys, which is why they're here. This is not a solution that came out of nowhere. You really need to learn what Deus Ex Machina means. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
We figured you'd say that.
Somehow Nana just stayed inside this bucket without kicking lion ass the whole way down the river. And she's stupid enough to think that Makunga is the one who stole her handbag after this.
You know Alex and Zuba could have just knocked her out, right? And why wouldn't she assume Makunga took her handbag?
Do you take each other? For better or for worse?
But I thought Skipper's love affair with the doll was so embarrassing that he gave up maternity leave to a bunch of monkeys blackmailing him during a labor negotiation. Now he's so cool with it, he gets married to it with witnesses just hours later.
Yes.
Love has no boundaries.
Okay, but love's not going to make that 4-foot-long giraffe penis any smaller, so maybe just a few boundaries.
Jeremy says boner.
Also, be careful what you say about Gloria, man. Her men can get pretty protective from what I hear.
Okay, I was honestly fine with the Will Smith slap joke earlier, despite it being hypocritical, but 2 is really pushing it. Are there really no other jokes you can make? Aren't you supposed to be a comedy channel? Or did you run out of material very quickly? Because me thinks that last part is true.
So, you ran away with the circus. What a cliche.